Oi, oi, we are live. I apologise for being abhorrently late yet again. You would never believe that Cameron CC hates lateness, but you know what? Sometimes when you're juggling a few balls, spinning a very many plates, sometimes you got to look. Just show up, Cameron. Do your job. Do you know what I mean? I will improve upon that. What are you saying, Kayla? Living on the edge. Moles. Benzie. Yeah, we go live. There he is, Brian. We're going. We're going. We're going. No trim and all. Receding hairline and all today. Testament to the lack of bandwidth. But listen, you don't want to hear me talk about my foibles and my multitudinous personal travails, how life keeps kicking me in my AWS, because we're here to talk about some Formula One. It's not about me or you. Well, yeah, it is about you. But it's more about Formula One, isn't it? The one that F's, because there are very many F1 threads at which we need to pull with T minus 21 minutes on the dots before we get ourselves a cheeky FP1 of the Doha Grand Prix, Qatar Grand Prix, something like that it's called. But let me talk to you about this. Go and watch that. If you haven't watched the Mohammed Ben Salam, but listen, I've talked about MBS and FIA a lot. I did not know that this rabbit hole goes so deep and is so wide. What did I say? 1.35 million US dollars. That's the presidential fund that he's looking to point at the federations. Again, very conveniently, if timing is important, it's around the time December 2025 is when election time will be. Like, I mean, come on. We're buying votes out here. Giovanni, I apologise, man. It isn't good enough. Far for it to be me to come on and start spewing, but I hate it when my missus turns up late or anybody else. So I've got the ring on today. Had to be done. I need to be more nimble. Let me take it off. But no. I apologise. Ethan, you're a legend. Thank you for joining the club. Eddie's in the house. Eddie says no surprise with MBS. What the surprise is, and again, shout out to Ethan for becoming the latest and greatest member of the Elated Peddlers Club. Of course, that will give you priority to the chat. It will give you access to the Discord, even if I can enunciate properly for 10 seconds, where we try and continue the ongoing mode of discourse, everything around Formula One in a way that's honest and open and respectful, pun intended. Do you know what I mean? If indeed you compare those two, it almost feels like oxymoron. Can you have an open and honest, respectful F1 conversation? It feels like it's a juxtaposition, a contradiction in terms even. As at the 29th of the 11th, 2024. But no, if you fancy joining and supporting the channel, then feel free. You are, of course, under no obligation, but the support really and truly is it's something for which I'm grateful in extremis. You guys donating and having these conversations with me, indulging my F1 nonsense, listening, coming back to me, undermining my nonsense opinions with reasoned and robust fact. That's what we're at. We're here to have the conversation, looking to be the light in the unreasoned F1 discourse darkness. Have the conversation. Test each other's truth, and that's why, do you know what I mean? It's more about you than it is me. My name is just the one above the door, and the communities is built upon your guys's, not insubstantial shoulders. And if you want to become a member and contribute, then absolutely you're welcome. But there is of course no obligation. Before I kick off, shout out to Charles Edward Cheese, absolute legend. And as always, this podcast is sponsored by him. Do you know what I mean? Put some respect on Charles Edward Cheese. And you know, all of you guys that contribute, I'm labouring the point, I understand, but I'm grateful more than linguistic signifiers could ever do justice. But we'll talk. Right. T minus 18 minutes. What do we need to talk about? 93 of you watching concurrently, and it's just FP3, FP1. Right, so here's what you need to know. And we'll go through this in more detail over the course of the weekend. If there's a car on track, we'll be here talking about it. I hope. Touch wood. Here's what you need to know. Qatar is going to be different from Las Vegas. It will be warmer. Therefore, no longer I would expect, if indeed I were a betting man, would you think Mercedes are going to be market leading? There is something about that car. DAF, dual axis steering. There's something about that car that enables it to operate, turn on its tyres even, very mercurial rubber, better than those other cars. Something about it. TAS. This is all conjecture and speculation, but the video that we pulled together, courtesy of the F1 diplomat on Twitter, it did look like DAS. Now I understand that Sagan's standard dictates that for extraordinary claims you need extraordinary evidence, and that of course is true. But I mean, sometimes you just gotta. Does that pass the eye test to you? Maybe I'm too noddy in F1 mind. Giovanni, thank you so much. You're far too kind. Cameron, all this MBS soap opera is frankly damaging to the sport. 100%, Giovanni. Indeed, it brings the sport into disrepute. Want to be talking about F1 and cars and wheel-to-wheel combat and Lando and Max and 4 times unprecedented. Do you know what I mean? That's what we should be talking about. I feel, not this, but again, that's me judging, of course, by dint of the lens through which I watch my Formula One. It's going to further erode public confidence in F1. You nailed the point, Giovanni. And there seems to be absolutely no acknowledgement that the fans make F1. Very well said, Jeannie. You're far too kind. That's a brilliant point, Giovanni. I couldn't have even said it better myself. It's damaging for the sport. It erodes trust. And listen, let me say this for upfront and centre. Preface everything I'm about to say with this. This is nothing new. That's not to say it's okay. Corruption, in inverted commas, allegedly. Agency, financial resources being leveraged with a view to sway like political, like votes and political. But it's not great. Please see Sepp Blatter and FIFA, right? Feels like copy and paste that story. It's a brilliant Netflix documentary that speaks about the extent to which corruption, political corruption, kind of has managed to seep into the veins and the pores of football as a sport. How is this any different? Probably you might want to argue that it's on a lower scale, a lesser scale maybe, but still, I mean, it's similar. It is similar, but yeah, and I agree. Giovanni, you make the point. This is really, really bad. I think it's bad. I know there's the F1 teams and drivers and team principals, erstwhile and hitherto, have taken a step back away from effecting change as far as Mohammed bin Salim's reign as head of the FIA. Now, however, are you noticing there is a change in stance? George Russell is going hard in the paint, to use the basketball terminology, each and every single time. Saying, listen, we need to trust what the FIA are doing with all this fine penalty money that we're giving them. $1 million from Alpine, $1 million from Honda. What's going on with those funds? I believe Max has sprint in the bag. Oh, Daniel, you've spoiled the broth. Race my guess. Go on, we'll get a cheeky. Go on, let's talk about racing. No more MBS talk because it gets. I mean, as much as I enjoy going scorched earth, you can flog a dead donkey, right? Too much sometimes. Go on then. Here's what you need to know. Qatar's going to get techie. No more Mercedes, because it's not necessarily no more Mercedes, but I wouldn't expect them to be as strong around here as they were last race weekend. It was cold there. It won't be so cold here, so that convergence settings, the other drivers in their cars will be able to turn their tyres on. And again, remember, worth stating front and centre to preface. Let me turn down my Sky. Getting on my nerves. When Sky's in my background too much, it gets on my nerves. Right. Qatar's a weird. It's a weird-ish track, but the temperatures are always going to matter a lot. It feels like, whilst we should be talking about Qatar going forward, it feels like still we're talking about almost still digesting what happened at Las Vegas. All the talk is about Max and Lando. Video later on where I'll dissect for what's been said. Like there was, Zach Brown said that, yeah, Max probably could have won he definitely could have won in the McLaren, but he probably could have won still had he had the third best car in the grid. McLaren are really going hard for Max. Like, it is the truth. But whether that should be coming out of Zach Brown's mouth or Andrea Stella, if indeed agency is a thing, if indeed their charge is Lando Norris, and you could argue that he's suffering from a crisis in confidence as at the time of writing. How are these words and these how is being effusive around your Max Verstappen praise if indeed you're a team principal or a affiliate at any level of McLaren? How is being so effusive about Max Verstappen going to help Lando Norris going forward? Non-rhetorical question. I would contend that it's not. The Lando Norris will be reading those in his time of need, by the way, when he's just lost the championship on his maiden voyage. Why would it make sense for Zak Brown to come out and start being... He's not on the stand. Doesn't need to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Sometimes it may... Oh, never forget Sir Alex Ferguson knew that Leo Messi was a better player than Cristiano Ronaldo. You could see it in his face, when he was in his eyes, even when he was answering the questions. But you would never hear that come out of his mouth, because Cristiano Ronaldo, I think he said something like this verbatim, Cristiano Ronaldo was his guy. Never cast the vote against him. But meanwhile, Zak Brown and Andrea Stella, all the while Lando Norris is suffering with a material crisis of confidence, they're coming out and being more than effusive about their praise of Max Verstappen. You don't get any points for that. Being honest, I think they need to reconsider their very peculiar brand of management. Go and read some management books and go and spend some time with Pep Guardiola or something, because it's not good enough. I would contend. So take that. Second up on the docket. Everyone's talking about whether Max could have won in this third car. Could he have won in the third car? Lando Norris's response, we'll talk more about this later. Lando Norris's response was, again, being banned. Look, let me say this before I tell you what. Bantering when you can't walk the walk really cheeses me. It really, really grinds my gears, you know. If you've got the walk, then go ahead and talk the talk. Michael Jordan made an industry out of this, right? Anytime he'd start jawing and sledging his opponents, he'd become even more of a monster than he was in the first instance. He'd weaponize that talk, as I think Max Verstappen kind of does and has done this season. Anybody that said, oh, you're too aggressive, Hill came out and said, oh, Dick Dastardly tactics. If everybody drives like Max, then nobody will be able to overtake it. And Max clearly was internalizing these things, and you know that because of the way that he interacted with Zak Brown after the race, right? Well, you see, I can win in a car that's not the fastest. You were saying, Zak Brown. No, please continue. Zak Brown, I proved you wrong yet again with my fourth, notwithstanding the fact that your team built a quick car, but your drivers couldn't handle the pressure, could they? They didn't rise to the challenge out of the embers like a phoenix like I did. So Max, do you know what I mean? He holds onto those ones. I'm not sure that everybody else can react like that. I'm not sure Lando has that in his locker. It's techie, isn't it? It is techie. What's the chance? Oh my gosh, Bruce, are we going straight into Checo? Oh. Is it that time when we talk about Checo already? Because listen, before I read that bloody Times article, this morning's video was going to be about Checo Perez. Shall I shall I freestyle it to you now? Oh my gosh. Right, here, let's go. Because we've got a couple of minutes, T-minus 9 minutes. Here's the chat about Checo Perez. I'll tell you what he said. I hope you guys watched the driver's press conference. If you hadn't, I will tell you what was said now. Summarily. So it was Checo, it was Zhou Guanyu, and it was Alex Albon in the second half of the press conference. In the first, it was Charles, it was Pierre Gasly, and somebody else. Let's talk to the second part with Checo. So, of course, this is Checo Perez's last time that he's going to be in the FIA drivers' press conference this year, with only 2 races remaining. Cool. Of course, the line of questioning was always going to be about his future, right? So Tom Clarkson tees it up and he says, well, what was going on, mate? Like, around the summer break, like, do you know what I mean? You were good early on in Q1, early Q2, but then your form dropped off a cliff as soon as you came back from summer break. Tom Clarkson's wording to Checo Perez, the question was something like, if you know what you, if you knew then what you know now, Checo, what would you have done? What would you have done differently after the summer break to make sure your form didn't do one of these, and then we're not all having these conversations about your future as the sword of Damocles is on the precipice of being wielded now? Checo Perez's response was something to this effect. He was like, oh, in all honesty, not really. It's hard to say because it was the parts, it was the car. There's things that we could have done, yada, yada, yada. Tom Clarkson responds, is there things that you could have done? Is it things that you could have done as a team or things that you would have changed about your driving, your style, as an example? Because we know already that Checo Perez is an understeer merchant. He needs a rear-ended track or rear-limited track even. Think about your low minimum speed turns like a Rascas as an example. Because of how good he is at getting on the throttle, on the combined exit. Those turns speak to him, but the second you go back to Europe, this is what happens every single year with Checo. He goes well in Q1 because those tracks suit him. All up until Monaco. That's why he's able to beat... Okay, look at it. We can get into the victory at Monaco and how controversial that is. And some say that that was even the turning point as far as Checo Perez's career. That a couple of years back, 22, when he beat Max at Monaco because he yeeted it into the barrier in qualifying, that all of a sudden then you had Max before was a friendly teammate, but then Max turned face, didn't he? Became a fire-breathing dragon. On the documentary, I want to say Off the Beaten Track, he said, you know what? That dude will never beat me. Never. So he beat him at Monaco and then he beat him at Baku, didn't he? And then Max was fuming. And he said, never, ever again will that dude beat me this season. And Max proceeded to win as near as makes no difference the rest of the races that year. And to that point, Checo's like, well, I don't think it was me. I think it was more the car. We put some things on the car, some upgrades. And as far as they delivered downforce in absolute terms, but for every point that they delivered downforce, they delivered additional issues and travails as far as our ability to drive the car. And if there was one thing that I could adjust, Checo Perez says, it would be my ability to adapt for that. He said that post the summer break, Max adapted his driving style much better than I did, and I struggled, Checo Perez. And I felt my heart warmed to the dude when he was being truthful and honest and saying, listen, Max just adapted to the car better than I did and was able to drive around its multitudinous mechanical and tractional travails. I was like, props to Checo. That half, that I didn't even want to talk about it then because that's what I wanted to hear from Checo. But thereafter, when he gets asked a series of questions, it gets... Then all of a sudden it gets techie again, doesn't it? T-minus 5 minutes away from a cheeky FP1. And again, we'll get some metrics provided by our mates over at Multiviewer as per usual. Go on then, let me cut this long story short. Checo Perez was asked a question, and this is where it gets techie. What's going on here? Bourville or Marmite? Neither, sir. Neither. I don't know if Lando will even keep up with Lewis once he's in red. Oh, Ethan. Oh. There are very many F1 threads at which we need to pull, right? Gonna get techie. Give light to the F1 unreasoned, the abbots of unreason. Yeah, I've been going. I'm trying to up the vocab. I've been reading. Carl Sagan, Demon Haunted World. Oh, telling you, if you like vocab and linguistic tapestry, then you'll enjoy that. But go on, and here's what Checo said. That Crofty asking, Crofty's good with this. Some people, I've been quite harsh and critical of Crofty, but Crofty's probably, as far as the journos that are in that media pen, Crofty's the best one because he asks the questions that matter. And here he goes. Long have I heard it rumoured from people close to the matter. Red Bull employees. I've heard that Checo Perez's contract is quite specific to Checo. Normally, Red Bull racing drivers are Red Bull, sans Max Verstappen, of course, because they're never going to need to demote him. But all the other ones not named Max Verstappen, in their contract, it will be termed they are a Red Bull racing driver, meaning, therefore, they can get promoted from VCARB to Red Bull Racing or demoted from Red Bull Racing to VCARB. Checo Perez's, rumour has it, if that's something that you believe in, conjecture, speculation always, rumour has it that Checo Perez is not a Red Bull Racing family driver, that he's a Red Bull Racing driver only, and that his contract states that they can't demote him down to VCARB. He drives only for Red Bull Racing. Therefore, in order to get rid of him, or in order to close off this chapter, this annus horribilis of a Red Bull Racing chapter as far as Checo Perez's tenure, that means that Red Bull Racing are going to have to buy him out. That's the truth. He's got a contract for another year. He's going to get techie. And Crofty quite rightly asked him the question, are you a Red Bull driver or a Red Bull racing driver? Or he turned it slightly different, but that's what he meant. That was the sentiment. Are you a driver for Red Bull or are you a Red Bull driver? Meaning, can they demote you to VCARB? Checo Perez, as you would do, said, I can't. I've been in F1 like 13, 14 years. I've never talked about my contract. I'm not about to break some news and peel back the contractual fourth wall here. Leave me alone. Quite rightfully. But that's techie. If you're talking about Checo Perez's future, techie, right? I almost feel like he might have screwed himself over with that. Because the conversation that Christian and Helmut Marko are going to be having is, well, keep Checo or sack him. There's no demotion, right? Can't go to VCARB and replace Liam Lawson or Yuki. It's double or nothing. Like it's, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think he might have, Checo might have out-negotiated himself there. T-minus 1 minute away from a cheeky FP3. That's the right answer, Coward. Let's go. Meaty says, if Max is the actual real GOAT, I'm more than willing to give him the respect, but all the cheating makes me doubt it seriously. Meaty, should we talk about that now? T-minus 1 minute. Let me get up some metrics. I'm not sure, Meaty. I'm not sure that you can hold the son or the driver in this instance culpable for the sins of the father or the team. Here's what it is, Meaty. If you're going to talk about 2021 and Michael Massey, whatever. But in this year, do you remember coming into this year, Mama Cameron as an example, or the Max Verstappen naysayers more broadly, would say, I had a conversation. Let me tell you about this story. It's a good story. One time there was a supporter on the channel. We don't talk anymore because I gave them a healthy dose of truth serum and they didn't like it. And we were arguing back and forth about Max. And this Lewis Hamilton stan said, I shouldn't say that so disparagingly, but this Lewis Hamilton fan, as we were arguing back and forth, said to me, see, the only thing is with Max, I want to see him, you can never be as good as Lewis because I want to see him when he hasn't got the car to do it, when he hasn't got the best car in the grid. So I said, hang on. Again, this is what I can't, look at me going scorched earth as we're about to get into F1. My response was thus, I was like, hang on. Did you see 2016? Brazil as an example. Maybe going back and watch Brazil because I would contend that Brazil, he didn't have the fastest car then. And what happened that race? It was incredible. And now here, this season, H2 in the second half of this 2024 season, Max, for the most part, hasn't had the quickest car. How has he fared? Who's closed the gap in the championship? Absolutely no one. So here is the evidence I put forth to that person. Didn't talk to me again. Just left the channel. I haven't seen them since. Bless them. Because they just don't like that. Abbots of unreason. Do you know what I mean? And I just can't. So me too. That's my point to you. I think this season served to disprove some of the naysayers. Oh, it's cheating. Oh, you can't face down adversity. Oh, we can only do it in the best. I feel like if you wanted an Exhibit A sufficiently robust and comprehensive, broad and deep on its parameters to disprove all of the naysayers' theses as far as Max Verstappen, if truth value is a thing, me too on YouTube, then you need look no further than 2024 as a season and Max's performances, bless him. Whatever you want to say, you don't need to like him, but again, that's a thing that Mama Cameron will do, right? Because she doesn't like Max Verstappen. She blends competence and personality. The two should not mix, nor should they ever mix. And I think we're sufficiently objective on here to respect greatness of the sporting endeavour variety without accounting or discounting for personality. They're two different entities. I don't think we should mix them. But F1 fans very frequently are abbots of unreason, is the truth. And we can't do that in here. For the avoidance of doubt, we'll never sacrifice truth nor objectivity at the altar of partisanship or confirmation bias. Never ever. Never ever. Let me get some metrics. But I digress. You know what I mean? Give it to them, Cameron. Right, let's go. Let's go. Let's get some metrics. What do I need? I need a track map, and I need a transcript. Right, let's go. As is that Anthony Davidson on deck talking about something or other. Bear with me whilst I sort out these metrics, because life is nothing without metrics. What's going on here? There you go. Oh, you'll excuse my production malfunctions. What's Anthony D talking about? As per usual, eh? Right. Okay. All right, let's go. Right, let's go. Gucci, we're good to go. T minus 56 minutes on the docket. Right, let's talk. 156 if you're watching concurrently, and it's only FP1. Oh, the humanity. Go on, there are some good points. Franco or Lawson, maybe, says Caleb. I think it's Franco, because principally of the financial resources that you can't discuss. As much as I would love for F1 to just be pure and the drivers do almost out of the altruism in their heart. Do you know what I mean? Almost as a non-for-profit. That would be lovely. But there is always, this is my argument with wins that I have 9 times out of 10, right? There will always be a financial portion. Why? Because Liberty Media are a listed entity on the bloody New York Stock Exchange or wherever, or Chicago, whatever it is. But they are listed. That means, therefore, that the directors and chairman, by default, will have a responsibility to all of the shareholders to increase shareholder value. How do they do that? But there's a commercial aspect, right? Selling tickets and not this. To be fair, Red Bull are not a listed company, but that doesn't mean that Christian Horner still won't have a responsibility to increase the value of the entity overall by increasing, you know what I mean, by them selling more drinks, as an example. And if that's a thing, then Franco Colapinto over Liam Lawson. I think if, let's imagine that Franco Colapinto doesn't come with the support of Argentina entire, nor does he come with the $20 million circa worth of sponsorship that Carlos Slim has currently been pointing at Checo Perez. Let's imagine that that's not a thing. Then Liam Lawson is absolutely a slam dunk. I like the cut of his jib, and there's a confidence, as Max Verstappen says, he's got a lot of air currently. There's something about Liam Lawson as I've been watching him. There's a video on YouTube where he's some chap is doing some magic tricks with him. If there is the look and a feel of a champion, if that's such a thing, then Liam Lawson has that. Now, does he need to go and perform? 100%. If performance were the start and finish as far as this conversation, this automotive pugilism Rubik's Cube, then it's Liam Lawson every time now. To put him in a seat ahead of time, 2025, Liam Lawson, Max Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda, and someone else, right? Who knows? Lindblad, I don't know. I don't know who that is. Maybe Checo, if he said, I have no idea who would be there alongside. Hajar, maybe, potentially. But that would be the start and the finish of the argument, yeah. But financial resources is a thing. If Franco Colapinto can keep his nose out of the barrier, Kayla, then I think it's his for the taking. Who do you think can take Checo's seat? Yuki, yeah, we just nailed that. Oh yeah, sorry, Kayla, you were answering Ethan's question, and I've gone and answered it as well, of course. Duplication. Max, Cadillac are better off with Bottas. Go on then, we're talking about Cadillac. So it sounds like they're like Carlton Herta initially, and things change all the time in this, right? But initially it sounded like they were keen to have 2 American drivers, and I like that thesis. That holds water, right? Again, think growth markets, think North America, think how you get a Cadillac over more than they already are in North America as an F1 team. If you can have 2 winning American drivers in an American team, mate, marketability to the power of 70,000 gazillion. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'd just be bonkers. Not dissimilar to Lewis and Scuderia Ferrari. The mix and blend of them combining as a marketing behemoth, right? As Scuderia Ferrari even, excuse me, look to build themselves more of a luxury brand than a sports car brand. It's tech, you know. It is techie. Nando, my dog. What's going on, Nando? You see, Nando, I tell you what about Nando. Let me give Nando. Nando always goes hard in the paint. You see Nando in the comments, Cameron, you're wrong. Disagree, Cameron. You're always glazing Max, always hating on shot. This is what it's here for, as long as it's respectful. What else is this channel for? Back and forth. I appreciate you, Nando. G and Jeannie, of course, and Kayla, and Daniel, and all of you here. Joe Mo, do you know what I mean? Living on the edge. Like, got to pay homage to each of you, each and every single time. This channel is nothing without you. You know what I mean? It lives and breathes for you guys. Go on and let me get. I haven't even looked at a track or anything. Go on then. Let's have a gander. Max Verstappen sat in provisional pole, or your session lead at least, because we know provisional pole is not a thing. Because it's FP1. Go on, let's have a quick look at the timing sheets. Max Verstappen. So they're all going to be quicker around here, aren't they? I want to say that from memory, first and second favourites are Lando and Max. George says brakes feel pretty rubbish. Oh, the humanity. Mercedes back to being an SH1 T-box. Jeannie says, I don't blame Max for cheating, but in finances and performance, Red Bull did cheat. I think Red Bull, but then, oh, go on then, Jeannie. Let me push back on you for a second. Define cheating. The tree falls down in a forest and nobody hears or sees it. Did it even fall? Is it cheating if you don't get caught? I don't know the answer to these questions, Jeannie. I'm just pushing back on you ever so slightly. I genuinely don't know the answers to these questions. They're too techy for my very noddy B-spec brain. Right, let's go. Can we just waiting for Ferrari next year, as we all are, Nate? Who is not at this stage? I mean, I feel like I was waiting for 2025 from the first race of the season. Who does? Can you imagine testing? If Ferrari do as they normally do and then put Lewis and Charles at Maranello, open up the garage doors and you see Lewis and Charles come out, both now adorned in the red overallery. Oof. Giovanni, you're a legend. Far too kind. This is for a respectful and knowledgeable community. But Giovanni, I love it. And you are far too kind. Listen, it's not the community that I've built though, Giovanni. I'll correct you ever so slightly. It is the community that you guys build. My name is just the name above the door. Like, I can't take credit for any of this. Make the videos every day. Try and be as consistent as possible. Turn up abhorrently late each and every single time, for which I am ashamed. Do you know what I mean? But it's you. It's not me. I got a feeling it would be Lewis versus Charles next year for the championship, Nate. It would be like a Ross. Oh my gosh, Nate. My heart can't cope with another 2016. You heard, Charles? I feel like last race weekend and the beef between Charles and Carlos was a foreshadowing. Said that to Windsor, didn't I? That stuff. Listen, 2025 won't come and go without us hearing Charles Leclerc talking like that at least once, or twice, or thrice. It's going to happen. Here we go. George Russell 124.9. Take that on the mediums. Max Verstappen all the way. Here we go. Modern day journalese, and then they know what time it is. Fancy that. Showing Charles Leclerc, aka modern day journalese, and then panning very seamlessly to modern day journalese, like actual journalese in the grid, in the garage, even for one-time Ferrari driver. And again, I was listening to. God, let me tell you this as we're T-minus 48 minutes until we get an FP1 checkered flag. Russell's just fast. He's not shabby. He's not shabby, Russell. Paisy says, I'm looking forward to seeing how Gasly does. A little bit of spark from him lately. I something about Pierre. I hope he makes a mug of me, Paisley, but I think Ocon is the better of the two Alpine drivers as we round third base on the 2024 season. I'll be honest. I'll be pushed when over the cost cap in 2021, the beginning of the year, other years. So, Genie, I think the scandals that you're alluding to, 2021, obvious. But again, that's what you do if you're a high level athlete. Then you push the boundaries, you race hard, and you go up to the line and peer over it and see what you can get away with. So I don't love 2021, but I can't hate Red Bull for doing it. I almost hate Mercedes and hate Toto Wolff. Hate is a strong word. Dislike Toto Wolff for not doing that as the team principal of my driver, Sir Lewis Hamilton. Do you know what I mean? If those are the rules of engagement, if those are the parameters within which we are playing, then play. Then Toto, the boy who cried wolf. That's my... But I think you're leading to Genie. So 2021 was Abu Dhabi. That was the controversy. Cost cap gate in 2022. 2023 is inertia valve, but inertia valve is as much rumour and speculation as is my DAS theory. DAS theory, dual axis steering. It's a bit techie. Right. Got your tickets to Monza. How jealous am I? Oof. Whereabouts are you, Paisley? Can you imagine Lewis wins up Monza next year? Oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. No. I can't even cope. I feel like crying already. Lewis wins and mounts the podium to the adoring Tifosi. Got the pictures of Fred on the over. Oh, it'd be too much. It's gonna be a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be chaos. I was gonna tell you this story quickly. Matt Bishop and podcast called Colossally That's History. They've got one where they talk about Gilles Villeneuve, and a lot. To be fair, Shez always argues me down on my modern day journalisy critique, poetic license, Grice's razor. You know what I mean? Give me some linguistic wiggle room. Life is too serious sometimes. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The modern day journalisy, of course, that's Charles Leclerc. It's his name. Yeah, it's a tad disrespectful, but life is too serious sometimes. Sometimes you've got to push the boundaries. But in Colossally That's History with Matt Bishop and Richard Williams, they've got an episode on Gilles Villeneuve, talking about 3 times when Gilles Villeneuve was great. And during that episode, they talk about the soft, vulnerable underbelly of Gilles Villeneuve, that sometimes he would just push the car too far. Silverstone, very famously, I think he crashed the car as near as makes no difference every single turn. Similarities between Gilles and Jean and Charles Leclerc. It's just the truth. And maybe not this season, because Charles kept his nose clean for the most part, has improved a lot and been more assertive. But the similarities between them are a function of speed in absolute terms, being capable of winning races, but for whatever reason, continuing. Oh my gosh, Alonso between Red Bulls. Bloody Nora. Both Red Bulls yeah, no, you nearly crashed, Alonso, but props to those Red Bulls for jumping out your way. Both of them destroyed their tyres and went off track, eh? I don't know how else you can. Okay, so they shouldn't have been going slowly through there, but as far as aversion tactics, that weren't too bad from Perez and Max there. Matt Bishop's podcast, Gilles Villeneuve, very similar. Crashed a lot, pushed over the limit a lot. Still a brilliant driver though, still super fast, but that was his lot. And I think if you're talking about Charles Leclerc's career, that's been his lot. Unfulfilled potential. Not to say he's not a brilliant driver. Got a feeling that George Russell is going to be the person that Keith, telling you, remember Baku a couple of years back? George Russell won't. I don't know if he's as talented as Max, nor as fast, but George won't cower away from facing down Max Verstappen as has done Lando Norris. He's already talking it up, isn't he? Max needs a race. He needs a worthier opponent, and I like that from George Russell. Listen, if you ever need an example of George Russell and want to find out who that chap is, you don't need to go back and look at the overtake that he pulled on Jack Aitken up the inside to win, I want to say, F2. Like, it's he's a chaos merchant. An absolute a merchant of the chaos variety. Do you know what I mean? He's he's good as George. I'll say that of George Russell. I rate him highly. He'll outperform. I mean, he still makes mistakes. Don't get it twisted. Saw Singapore. His mistakes. Right. Catch this irony. If we're leveraging Lewis Hamilton blasphemy already. George's mistakes in the race are as to George's mistakes in the race. There are parallels between that and when Lewis makes his mistakes in qualifying, though. When all the beans are on the line, when it's for all the marbles towards the end of the race, that's when you'll see George yeet it into a Fernando Alonso in Australia. Or that's when you see George stack it into the barrier in Singapore when he's trying to chase down a Lando. Do you know what I mean? And that's when Lewis is making his mistakes. Very similar, right? The final turns. Canada, I'll never forget Canada because I didn't force it. I would have bet all of my marbles that Lewis will beat George Russell around Canada in qualifying. But ever there was going to be a time that he turns it around. Why? Well, because Lewis is a demon around Canada. Is now, always has been, always will be. It's where he won his first race, Wall of... There's something about the characteristics even of that car that favour Lewis Hamilton. He excels around there. And then what did we see again? The mistake, the brand of mistake that so typified Lewis Hamilton's qualifying bloody Nora oversteer moment from Checo. Makes another mistake at the final corner, does Lewis? At the final corner. So what are we doing here? Lawson is slow. Do you think so, Michael? Did you see him overtaking? You know what? Maybe I'm invested in a hyperbole and maybe I'm getting a bit premature. But did you see him do the double overtake at Brazil? So F1 do a thing called Overtake of the Month. Oh, Lewis complaining already about no stability. Oh, the humanity. No. So look, there are moments in like the greats' careers when they'll do something that'll make me kind of twig. So Lewis did the double overtake on PK and Pizzioni in GP2, right? Silverstone. It wasn't Cops, was it? It was Maggots before. Was it Maggots Beckett's? Double over. So he's gone 3 deep into that turn. A turn where you've got no right to be 3 deep. And again, Lewis did a couple of things before then, coming from the back during GP2 and winning a race with time in hat. Like in every driver's career that goes on to do great things, there's a moment that makes you think. I'm not saying that this was that from Lawson, but when Lawson steals Lewis's and Fernando's lunch money into one turn at Brazil, I was like, hang on, did I see something there that we should we have all been paying attention? Maybe Lawson has got something. And there's no way really of telling how quick he's in that V carb. I don't know. He thrashed those tyres over a race. He's a one-lap merchant. Of whom are you talking, Michael? Brent says, Cam, I really think Gilles Villeneuve is a bit overrated. He got a winning car in 1979, but lost to Jody. And in 1982, Pironi destroyed. It's techie. It's techie French. I can't even... I think he's like a mythical figure, or like an F1 martyr. If ever I saw one, is what Gilles Villeneuve is. Even the opening stanza. Go and listen to, if you've got Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, iTunes or whatever. Go and listen to Colossally That's History. Matt Bishop and Richard Williams. Entire episode on Gilles Villeneuve talking about what made him great. Looking at 3 instances in particular where he's proven how good he was. But yeah, Matt Bishop opens with a brilliant stand. We'll have to break it down when I'll go back and re-listen to it, and we'll talk about it one of the days. Because Matt Bishop opens with his stanza where he talks about that it wasn't... his relationship with racing was one of love. that Gilles Villeneuve loved his craft. Do you know what I mean? That if he was going to come to his end, he wouldn't have ended his life any other way than in a race car. How techie is that? Gilles Villeneuve we're talking about, for those of you who are just joining. How, like, I mean, bloody Nora, way to make me, like, cry. Flip. Maybe that is Charles. Charles has always argued with me that the comparison for Charles is with Gilles and not Journalese, but that's far too sensible and serious for me. Modern day Journalese is perfect. And shout out to Josh Revel, by the way. God tier YouTuber, friend of the channel. That I've got to give him credit for the modern day Journalese, didn't you know what I mean? George is not him, says Michael. Oh, not yet. Not yet, Michael. Don't judge him on I don't know. I don't want to get too prophetic. Sabotage again says no. Surely not Eye of Thunder. I've seen George lose positions a lot of races and get bailed out by a safety car. He does make mistakes, Michael. I'll take that on board. He absolutely does make mistakes. Nate says, Alazy has woken up. Oh, the humanity. Go on then. Whilst we're on a break, let's have a look at the times. I like this song playing on this advert. Right, T-minus 36 minutes left on the docket. Ferrari in the hands of Charles Leclerc, aka modern day Journalese, are alive. 123.702. Let's go on mediums. Verstappen 123.8. Nearly 2/10 adrift. But again, how much do you want to read in this? FP1 and 2 in particular. Remember, in fact, there's no FP2, is there? It's just FP1 and then it's sprint shootout later on today. Sprint race tomorrow morning. And then qualifying proper for the proper race. So remember, I should have said that at the outset, right? But sprint race weekend. How do you like your sprint race weekend, though? Not a fan. I say that through hushed tones. Not a fan. But I digress. Right, Colapinto instance. Colapinto does something with a brake bias. Keep it on the mark. Keep it on the black stuff, chap. Off the marbles, Franco. You've got one job today. Red Bull are sniffing around you, chap. Oliver Mintzlaff was at Williams last weekend. Christian Horner at the same place the weekend before. Keep your nose clean. Therefore, Franco Colapinto. Make sure you don't continue, as you have done over the past couple of Grand Prix, to seize defeat from the maws and jaws of victory. Surely not. Come on. Surely not. Ricardo Goats says Michael. Oh, Kyle Larson or Max Verstappen can. Mike, you want me to be honest? I don't. Listen, I've seen a lot. So it would depend, is that honest? I think that's the truthful answer. Kyle Larson to carry that. Larson and Carlton Herta. Listen, we need more characters in there. And I know Kyle Larson has said some, he's had some indiscretions, some verbal discretions, discrepancies even prior. And that's never good, right? That'll follow him around like a bad smell, particularly in F1. You know what I mean? Where everybody is without sin. So keen, therefore, to cast stones always. But I look at Anthony Davison just said my point. Stop crashing Colapinto. Because it's true. I think we could use Kyle Larson. I mean, he's ostensibly the best driver in the series in which he races. And he's got a big name and looking to grow. Liberty Media looking to grow into North America. You bet your bottom dollar they are. So then Kyle Larson will expedite for that learning curve, right? Will he not? Surely. So I don't know. But to pick between them would depend. I'm sure if you saw... I'm sure if you picked and dropped Verstappen and put him in a stock car and raced Kyle now, you'd struggle, eh? I think the more pertinent question is who would adapt more quickly. Would it be Max to stock car racing and whatever else Kyle is driving, or would it be Kyle in an F1 car? That's the question, and I'd like to see it answered. But whether Kyle want that? I'm ready for the American driver for Cadillac. Me too. We need it. We need it. Oh, Ted Kavitz saying there's a split in the equipment. Pierre Gasly's got the new nose cone. Esteban Ocon does not. But again, this is what happens, right? When you've got one driver leaving a team to go to Haas, and you've got one driver staying. Esteban Ocon, of course, is the former Pierre Gasly, as far as Alpine are concerned, is the latter. Then you've got to start to divide and conquer as far as your resources going forward now. Sprint weekend, ugh, says Remco. More racing, but I prefer. I know, Remco. We like a moan, don't we, Remco? Do you see us? Oh, they put sprint races in there. They put them in there. Oh, don't like sprint races. I like to moan more than most, but I'm a woman scorned as far as sprint races now. I enjoy every sprint race comes around. I do wish it was a conventional one. But again, growth markets, shareholder value and all that, like, do you know what I mean? Put more sessions of meaning in there means there'll be more eyes, more people watching sprint, shootout, sprint race, blah, blah, blah. And some of the sprint races haven't been bad, have they? Let's be honest. Brazil, chef's kiss, proper. Personally, I think sprint should be for reserve drivers. You and Peter Windsor, Ethan? Is that you, Mr. Windsor? On the burner account, Ethan. I think sprint should be for the reserve drivers only. I know there's one bit still they can move that around. I think reverse would be nice. T-minus 31 minutes on the docket. We are halfway through a cheeky FP1 session. Let me have a cheeky review of these timings. Go on then. Charles Leclerc 123.7, Max Verstappen 123.8. Close at the top, Gasly up front again, up top. Currently sat in third fastest time set for the session on a 123.9. Norris therefore after 124 flat. Sainz, Russell, where's Lewis? 10th. Oh, for God's sake. Lewis didn't even have a pace in FP1. So wrap them for qualifying, or maybe he's doing it the right way around. 217 of you watching concurrently. Do me a favour and smash the like. Right, let's get a cheeky poll up. Right, let's go. Who's your sprint winner? No. Max 200 of you in the chat, and I'm grateful I did for Night and Teachers. Each and every single one of you. Do me a favour though, smash that like, please. Now, here we got Lando. Go on then. Who have you got? And I'll include Lewis just for fits and kicks because I know some of you will not be happy if I don't. Crackosaurus says Flabio being Flabio. Standard. Kamini Black Friday shopping? No, not this year, Michael. I don't know. I don't need any. I don't want for anything. I'm trying to become more of a minimalist. He says with his bloody setup in front of him and his camera and his lights. Yeah, Cameron. There was once a man called Hippocrates. No, I'm trying to be more. I'm trying to spend less, do more, do Cam a favour. Do you know what I mean, Benzie? Do you know what I mean? No, I don't have extra cat. Yeah. Windsor on the burner. All we need is a rocking chair and a giraffe. Remco, Techie. Daniel Matz is usually on top of sprints. He doesn't lose many. He's the only person. What was the stat? He's the only person, I think, to finish in the points every single... For a long time, I'll look it up between now and next session, right? But for a long time, he just won all the sprints. But I think there's a stat that goes something like Max is the only driver to have scored points in every single sprint race since the beginning of sprints. Is it interesting, right? There's another bloody stat that I saw earlier about Checo Perez. As we are T-minus 28 minutes on the docket. Catch this, you'll like this. Checo Perez running Singapore 2022. Since then, Checo Perez has won 2 races. That's less championships than Max has won in that time. 22, 23, 24. Max between Singapore 22 and now, as at the 29th of the 11th, 2024, Max Verstappen has won more championships than Checo Perez has won races, courtesy of our old mate Baxley of Shakedown. Can you imagine? You've got to have more shame than that. If we're driving the same car, yeah, that's reason sufficient to just hang it up, surely. If your raison d'etre is winning races and championships and over any period of time, let alone like 22, 23, 24, let alone 3 years, Max has won more championships in that pit. Oh, chaos. Oscar sprint, potentially Benzi. Everyone wasn't watching. Anything happen, says Kaylin? Nothing really. It's just they're all bedding in, same old free practice. But it is a time pressured free practice. This is the only free practice session that they'll get right. So it'll get techie. Between sprint shootout and sprint race, parc fermé settings, and then parc fermé, no parc fermé for qualifying, of course. So they'll learn their lessons from sprint and sprint shootout, and then they'll adjust the car again, right? Making sure to optimize for the setup of quali and therefore the race. But that's a hybridization, right? It's hard to straddle optimal setup for quali and the race. It's techie, isn't it? And if I recall correctly, it's not easy to overtake around here neither. Oh dear. Sat Cam's next video thumbnail of mate, Michael, that would have been, but for this bloody Times article that I read lastminute.com, that would have been it. What time is this sprint quali start? It is right. Sprint quali, Ethan, will be we'll be here 30 minutes before lights out for sprint quali. 4:30. So T-minus 2.5 hours, Benzi. We'll be here live and direct. Why is the Mexican Minister of Defense still in the tip, Michael? No clue, mate. Finances, timing, currying favour with the Yovija family. That will all have something to do. I should pay attention to Jenson Button. Is he talking? I've got a story to tell about Jenson Button. I promised I'll tell one day. Not the man that he purports to be. Allegedly. I will tell it. Right, how many likes? If we get to 100 likes, I'll tell this Jenson Button story that I've probably already told already, to be fair. Check, I heard Trump back in president and scared to go. Oh no, Michael. It is techie. It is techie, AU. Draw P18. Why is Jenson Button wearing, mate? Get off my screen. Get it off. Now. I disagree. It doesn't look lovely, Crofty. At all. Not that I'm any sort of bastion of you know what I mean? I'm not the market lead fashion guy. Did somebody say Mexican Minister of Defense? I've changed it ever so slightly. Outlaw, you're an absolute legend. And again, I'm shouting at you guys today because there's no better time than now. But Outlaw, the activity in the community, mate, always commenting. Outlaw, I'm appreciative, mate. Genuinely. Properly. Right. Let's have a quick run for our runners and riders. FP1, remember. Sprint shootout later. Can you check the front of the car? Huh. Right, purple sectors. Sector 3 from Gasly. Sector 2 from Carlos Sainz on his merry way. Sector 1 is held by no one. No, it will be held by somebody, but I just can't see it on my screen, of course. Charles Leclerc, top of your timing sheets on a 123.4. Carlos Sainz, 123.5. Third, you've got Lando No Wins, 123.7. Maximilian Verstappen. Have you seen them calling Max Verstappen Sid? And he keeps it in good. It's good, that. Sid. Gasly, 123.9. Oscar Jack, 124. Thereafter, you've got George, Sonoda, Albon. Alonso just jumps up into 7th on a 124.1. Colapinto, sort your life out, mate. Get that prep in, chap. Do you know what I mean? You haven't got long. This is a very important session. I'd like to see. He's going on hards. What's Franco Colapinto going? Hards and hards from both Williams. Up, Carlos Sainz. Purple, purple, purple. Set to 1, 2, and 3 respectively. 30.7, 28.1, and a 24.1. Take that. Carlos Sainz is on one, isn't he? Vámonos, Carlito, vámonos. 123.0 goes 4/10 clear of one Charles Leclerc. Look at the bloody, look how I'm just noticing that. Look how aggressive the undercut is on the SF24 iteration of that Ferrari. Oof. And then that they might want to lower the car a little bit more, eh? Lots of travel. See the sparks flying up off Carlos Sainz's car. Oh, jeez. Wow. Don't hate that. Don't hate it. 240 if you're watching Kakoni. Do me a favour, smash a like if you could. And vote on the poll. 53% of you are saying Max Verstappen. Oh, Max Verstappen for the sprint. It's not a bad shout. 11% of you think George. 11% say Lewis. 25% of you are keeping the Lando Norris faith. Props. Did I walk into the room to hear Mexican Minister of I miss Charles in the poll as well. He has a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. Potentially Remco. The odds makers don't think so, though. Because remember, Las Vegas is a Ferrari track. Qatar, I don't think, is. Not to say they don't have one of the fastest cars on the track, but the nature and the fundamental characteristics, the game of physics is against them around there, I think. Sainz and Leclerc in a scrap. Sainz beating Charles next to races. Heading out the door. I'd do it. Keith, if you beat him again, I've got another bottle of champers on ice. Every time Carlos Sainz beats Charles Leclerc, you know what I mean? I will pop me one. Colapinto gets the time deleted. Get Alonso. Oh no, Michael set. I think Alonso might have another cheeky surprise in his locker. Not to say that this Fernando Alonso, as at November of 2024, is the same of 2005 fire-breathing Chagaris Fernando Alonso. They're different entities, right? But I remember Fernando Plan Alonso on Checo Perez in Brazil, 2023. He wasn't bad, was he? There you have a minister of defence. There you have a minister of defence. Williams run out of cars, quite literally, says Crackers. You know what? Not true. False, Crackers. They've turned it around. They've got cars. Liam, the legend that is. Again, far too kind and generous each and every single time. Congratulations, Sam, being a member for 3 months. Do you know what I mean? Deleted peddler settings. How many GP have you attended? I've done 11 since 06. Liam, you know the answer to that question already, don't you? I think you're just are you shaming me? I've never... So I've been to Silverstone a gazillion times. But each and every single one of those times has been to drive myself. Sports cars. I think I would enjoy a race. One of these days, Justin was telling me that I need to get to a race. I will get to a race one day, Liam, but I'm hoping to be invited, you know what I mean? If I'm paying myself, I kind of want to rather just stump up for a Silverstone track day, if I'm honest. But I know I will at some point start. I'd like to go to Spa Francorchamps. Josh Revel tells me good things about Spa. I'd like to go to... I need to visit Suzuka. I mean, come on. I can't call myself a proper F1 fan if I haven't been to Suzuka. 222 here. Let's check you have liked. Benzi, you're a legend. MS says as Alonso and Lando Norris. Fernando Plan Alonso. Bit of a tongue twister that. I can't enunciate for it properly. I've got to roll off the tongue. I'm trying to think of a nickname for Fernando. Matthew Brown in the house. Absolute legend of the channel. Far too kind. As always, sir. I like Mercedes bringing back the all-white overalls. Feels old school. Remember the last time they did that, though, Matthew? Wore some, like, old school. Do you remember when they were wearing, like, the German lederhosen? And then they both crashed out in monsoon conditions. Toto said never again then. Feels old school. I'm curious about 26. But with how everything is playing out, changing the regs might be prematurely with how close it is. So I agree. Matthew, so this is the bloody problem, isn't it, with it? Every single time, everybody's saying, all of those guys, Vals has said it, Toto has said it, Christian Horner said it. Oof. Get out the way, V-Carb. What are you doing? looking to cause accidents. So here's the thing with 2026. If 2025 is going to be a gangbuster season, then why change it? Leave it as it is. If the argument for 2026 is sustainability and innovation and whatever, sustainability, which part? Sustainability, Mohammed Ben Sulayem. Like, there's too many, like, do you know what I mean? There's too many contrasting, contradictory stories. Sustainability, but FIA personnel senior figures are on the private jet every 2 seconds. Can F1 ever beat the drum of sustainability, really? Like, the drivers have to fly all around the world. None of them will ever get in a boat or a car. Like, they fly all around the world. Yeah, sometimes they share private jets. But yeah, and still they have private jets. So I don't think sustainability is ever going to be the drum that F1 can beat. Do you know what I mean? It's never going to be. There is an element of greenwashing and impact washing here. You know what I mean? Saying stuff that ultimately the actions don't marry. Not nice and neatly too, at least. The white looks tacky, says Michael. I haven't seen them. I'll have a look. White. There is something about white overalls. Who does it remind? Oh, it's Stig, isn't it? The Stig from Top Gear. That's what it reminds me of. Nürburg. Make-A-Wish uniform. Oof. Marvin says team orders. What's wrong with my neck over here? I need to get another screen though, nice so that I can see and talk to you guys over here. Chicago over Nürburg is crazy. So Lewis in white. You like that, MS? He's a good looking chap. Is Fernando? Is Lewis? I'll give him that. I think that's half the reason why so many new F1 fans attribute their journey to F1 at the feet or at the altar even of Sir Lewis Hamilton's mainstream success, or crossover success. Apple advert. Oof. Dropping beats. Chicago streets. Okay. Go on then, Michael. If we're talking Chicago, I know that. This Rudin Banks. So Chicago, I know that they've applied for a patent or a copyright right around Chicago F1 or Chicago Grand Prix circuit, meaning therefore, by implication or insinuation, that I think F1 Liberty Media harbours aspirations of one day having a Chicago Grand Prix. Whether that comes to fall, whether it transpires in the end is a different thing altogether, but I don't know. Might as well go to New York. Yeah, maybe. I remember they had a Birmingham Super Grand Prix once upon a time. That's where I herald from. Matthew, you're a legend. Too kind, mate. Personal opinion, the E-cars need to get smaller and lighter, preferably with V8. Praying that Formula doesn't change the point system to stupid player format that NASCAR has. Heard it's possible. Behave yourself, Matthew. Surely not. Too much change is a bad thing, Matthew. I think you sell that to say that too much change is absolutely a bad thing. And listen, Eddie Jordan went ham the other day. Did you hear him on the Formula for Success podcast? They're messing it up. They're driving tractors. Props to Lewis and Max for being able to control these tractors, but their tractors are far too big and far too heavy, Eddie Jordan said. And I don't hate it. I don't hate the sentiment, Eddie. You know what I mean? And when you're ready to come on the podcast, Eddie, just send me an email, mate. Like, we'll have a conversation at some point. I know you're very busy, Mr. Eddie Jordan, but we'll sort it out. We'll sort it out. Signs currently top of your timing sheets with 13 minutes and 30 seconds on the docket. 123.0. Leclerc shortly thereafter on a 123.4. Lando, Norris, Gasly, Verstappen shortly thereafter from 6th to 10th. You have Piastri in 6th, 7th for Fernando Plan Alonso, George Russell of Kings Lynn, Norfolk in 8th, Tsunoda, and then Albon complete your point scoring positions, if indeed that's a thing in FP1. Far too kind, by the way, Matthew. Appreciate you, mate. Stop streets. Yeah, I hear you. But I mean, if you're talking about, if you want to maximise live attendances, then how better way to do it than putting these Grand Prix in places in the world or different territories or growth markets even, where people can access them easily. Is that? I don't know. Why do they obsess over street races? There you go, Michael. I think I've just answered your question. Jordan is props. I never used to like him, but he tells the truth. I've got to, you know what it is, Genie? In the world of F1, it's very rare. This is what I would say to, stop glazing Windsor, they say. But the thing about Peter Windsor, Mr. Windsor, put some respect on his name, is the, again, it's a juxtaposition because it is rare. The way in which he can engage as far as his extemporaneous communication. He's got this way of delivering a monologue that's just sometimes when I'll tell you this story. Sometimes when I'm interviewing Windsor, he told a story last time, and I was like, what? It's just like I had my next question ready, and I was like fumbling for my papers because I was lost in the story now. He just he snake charmed me. The story was, I can't even remember what it was. I was talking about Carlos Reutemann in the wet. Time when he'd driven in a car with Carlos Reutemann, legend of Argentina. Do you know what I mean? Like, hang on. Just casually dropped it in there like and expected me to maintain a semblance of professionalism and have the next question ready. I'm like, no, I just want to hear that. I just want to hear that. Tell me more, Peter. And we're going to soon at some point, I think I'm going to be on Windsor's channel just asking him about all these, so many stories. And I don't think he's got this humility to it. This is Windsor's beauty, right? That he's so good and so knowledgeable and can talk so engagingly extemporaneously and doesn't even know, like, not a whiff of ego. And that's what ultimately those are the characters that I am drawn to. Zero ego. Do you know what I mean? Whereas a lot of these other buds in and around F1 don't know half of what Windsor does. But then as soon as they get on Sky Sports or get some numbers behind them, a bit of wind and steam, they're famous. No. Do not like. As FP1 says, Chiba, it's been a much of nothing. Do you know what I mean? Nothing much has happened thus far. Liam, you're a legend. Abu Dhabi's worth the dollar. My favourite. Spa second. Yeah, I don't hate Abu Dhabi. I'd like to go at some point. It's glitz and glam though, isn't it? I'd be keen to see how I respond in an. I think at heart I want to characterise myself as a purist, but in reality I will kind of want to go to. I think I would want to go to a glitz and glam. I'd want to go to Monaco qualify. I think that's for the first track I go to will be Monaco qualifying. 100%. 100. I have to see Monaco qualifying. It's got to be done. BPLR, you're a legend. Just showing some appreciation. You've been my most watched channel this year. Thank you so much, BPLR. Thanks for the God tier commentary each and every second. Let's go, BPLR. I appreciate you, BPLR, saying that. You're too kind. But I understand, again, if I'm going to drink from the Peter D. Windsor fountain of humility, I've got a lot to do. Like, I understand there are things that I can continuously improve. Don't always bat 1,000, but again, I'm looking to increase the frequency with which I get close to batting 1,000, if that makes sense. But you guys are legend. Thank you so much. You're too kind, you guys. Each and every, I know, proper legendary status. Chiba, they should race at Road America. Bloody Nora. Liam says, I was at Silverstone in 06 and 08. You were at Silverstone in 08, Liam? No, Liam. Got goosebumps just thinking about it. No, Liam. You're not allowed. I never want to hear, too kind as always, Liam, but I never want to hear that from you again, Liam. Jealous. Ad infinitum. In extremis. In perpetuity that you managed to see Lewis do one of the greatest, quite frankly, drives that you will ever see in Formula 1. Do you know what I mean? Lewis Hamilton in 08. Oof. Oof. Pwah. As the Spanish say. Yeah, BPR. MS, I think MS, I think you'll do a MS. Let me know if you fancy yourself a cheeky blue spanner, because I think you'll do. I want them to bring F1 back to South Africa. We need it here again. Absolutely, absolutely. I don't hate that, but they're looking at Rwanda, aren't they? The last that I read, that's potentially the option most viable. All right, so we're going into fast lap territory as we are rounding third base on this session. T minus 8 minutes left. Oof. Go on then, they're all going right. Soft compound tyres, cheeky tinker the rear suspension. Lee's about to go quick. Go on then. Yeah. Quali pace. Shout out to Ted Kravitz for giving me the heads up. This is the meaty end of the session, is it not? I need to see Lewis race, but Chiba, that's not. Monza next year, eh? I'm sure Monza next year will already be sold out. Go on, let's have a look at these guys as they start to pay attention, Cameron. Oof. Charles Leclerc goes purple. Blimey. 0.4. Okay, so everybody's at it now. Testing qualifying setups, eh? 242 if you're watching concurrently. £200 uncovered grandstand pitch. Oh no, Liam, you can't talk about that again, Liam. I don't want to hear it, Liam. It's too much for my soul. How was I not there? What was I doing in 2008? I just finished uni. Bloody Nora, Max Verstappen. Yeah, I should have been there, Liam. There's no excuse. It's too expensive, says Chiba in the USA. You can get European. Yeah, I heard somebody did a trip. Somebody in Vegas said that their trip to Austria for a family of 4, all expenses paid, flights, the lot, was cheaper than buying Las Vegas tickets. And therein lies the problem, eh? As far as the economy that is Formula 1. 5 minutes on the docket remaining. Charles Leclerc goes top on a 122.2. Oof. We don't mind that. Enter the Dragon, Charles, I know. Go on then, MS. I'm gonna don't let me down though, MS. Do you know what I mean? No, I'll show you. And the mods. I haven't even shouted out the mods. How very dare I? Keep the channel running. It's too expensive in the US. You can get to Europe, yeah. Cam, have you seen Dallas Cowboys racetrack? I have not, Michael. I'm too European centric, is my point. This is the truth. You know, people do tend. There's something called the allegory of the cave, right? Where it highlights as a story the fact that the people tend to see reality through their own lens only, and I am victim of that, Michael. I try to consume as much North American basketball. I try and keep up with NFL a little bit. Like I'll be dialed in around Super Bowl time, but when it's the regular season, not so much. I couldn't really tell you anything. It's track must be ramping up for stuff. I think what they're keen to do is dial in the car and a setup. Off 122.4, 2/10 adrift from Charles Leclerc. One of you in the chat was saying that Charles Leclerc is going to be fast, and I was talking all this stuff about Ferrari's not a car that's geared up and set up for this track. Of course, it's not. Oh, but here we go. Here's the litmus test. Lando, second still. Wow, only 1/10 adrift, but 1/10 adrift nevertheless, eh? Oh. What team has 4 minutes left on the docket as these guys? Here we go. Got a proper interesting end to the session. We've got a qualifiers at bloody. Look at this Haas. Does this Haas want to go any faster than this Hulkenberg? I know we're going to see an incident here. He's going far too quickly. Look at this. He's going to make these turns. Bartek Minerals, you're a legend. Do you think Audi will succeed? Greetings. Bartek, I feel like that flag is a Polish flag, isn't it? Greetings from Poland. Look, see, I do know things sometimes, Bartek. Do you know what I mean? Education and all that sometimes. No, you're far too kind, Bartek. Do you think Audi will succeed? Greetings from Poland. In short, Bartek, no. So they've already started to manage the expectations of their shareholders, right? that there a couple of things have happened as far as Audi are concerned, as happens a lot in F1 sometimes. When somebody's about to join F1, all of a sudden, the senior stakeholders, the key C-suite execs who are responsible for the whole Audi purchasing Sauber, a majority shareholder in Sauber, like taking them over per se, all of those key senior stakeholders have since left the organisation. A fish stinks from the head down, right? How can you... If you haven't got the buy-in of the senior execs at Audi proper group, then how can we expect them to be a success? I think they've got issues, and you can talk about where they're situated. They've got the factory somewhere of Germany and then Cologne. It's all over the shop. You know that if past this prologue, the most frequently occurring way of gaining success in a Formula One team is basing yourself out of Middle England. Audi won't do that. I know Binotto is a god-tier racing mind. Is he a CTO, COO? Does he have the minerals for those operational technical roles? Potentially, you could argue. I know Wheatley's really, really good, but I'm not sure that those two together have the minerals and infrastructure around them requisite to win races and or championships, not least before 2030. And they've said similar. Binotto, as he's perusing what he has to work with, is disappointed, right? He didn't realise the extent of the Audi operation, so it's going to get techie for them. I like that. I do like their team, like their drivers, Hulk and Bartoletto. Methinks. But I just don't know. I don't know, Bartet, to your question. I think it's going to be a long time until we see them podium. Genie, you're a legend. Always. What's up? I hope you're well. No hating on my boy Shot. I know. Look at, can't hate on him when he's driving like this, eh? I was cheering for Sainz earlier. Neil, you would have heard me. But Neil, no, I appreciate the back and forth. You got to keep me honest. Sometimes you've got it's hard not to hate, especially when he's been so bloody good. Look at him this year; he's not been too bad. Neil, you'll be pleased to hear, as I was perusing statistics as far as all things F1 are concerned, if there were a post summer break championship, guess who would be winning it, Neil? Your boy Charles Leclerc. So I do put some respect on it. I gotta. MSC Cracker. I hope Oscar wins Qatar Sprint again. F1 is a different beast. It will take at least 8 years, at least. And even then, they may never make it, eh? Charles P1, says Michael. I know, don't hate that. As we have no more time left on the docket, checkered flag is out. Carlos Sainz up into 4th. Charles Leclerc has the whip hand. No, you're a legend, Neil. Appreciate the back and forth every single time. So long as it's respectful. We can take chunks out of each other, because life is too boring if it's not dialogue and contrasting views. Do you know what I mean? Jay up in the chat. I see you, Jay, going back and forth on Twitter. You love it, Jay. This is what I'm saying. How consensus is for muggles. It's boring. Need difference in opinions and friction, and you think this and I think something else. It is X. No, it's Y and Z, and here are the reasons, and this is the point of the channel. This is the story arc of the channel. Bottas goes purple sector 2. What? Yeah, the track's evolving, isn't it? It's evolving. Perhaps I missed something, and they lost a lot recently. Yeah, Neil, no, they're a legend now. Right, guys, I'm going to run. Back 30 minutes before FP2 sprint shootout later on. I think it's at 4:30. Let me just double check. It kicks off at Oscar Piastri goes wide. We'll kick off at 4:30. Lights out is at 1700 GMT, meaning therefore lights out in 2.5 hours time exactly from now. We'll be back in 2 hours time. You guys have all been legends. I'm going to run away and go nail some work. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good Friday. Love somebody that you love between now and next time, as always. Remember to look, but never stare.